All right. Welcome. We back again, once again, time and time again, my friends. And over here, you know what we doing? Live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we just look at the market, look at what are the highest probabilities of the direction of the market over the next coming days. It's also a place to ask any questions if you want any updates, or you'd like to look for possible moves on any pairs. You can go ahead and drop that in the chat as well. But it's just a place to come hang out and chill, talk about all things Forex over here. But before we do get right to it, make sure you are subscribed with the post notifications turned on. That way you do get notified anytime I do go live like here now, or post any educational content on this channel. I just want to make sure you stay up to date. But we'll start it right off with XAUUSD from the monthly time frame. We've been speaking about it this week. It's broken below this level of what was support, came back, retested it as resistance, and this current month we've exploded to the upside, actually breaking above that level, making almost what would be higher highs and higher lows in this overall trend. So we've had this move all the way up. We created the high up in here. We would still need to break some of these lows down in here in order to see this monthly trend change. But as we are currently now, we've came into a level. We've seen the explosion to the upside. We could see possible continuations on this market. Now, if we look at the weekly time frame, you can see we have a nice and easy W formation, things I talk about a lot over here, where you do just want to see the market come back, retest the neckline, and continue the trend as the market is currently moving up this week. And if you look at it on the daily time frame, you can see on XAUUSD, we did talk about the potential moves to the upside to continue the trend to come retest some of these levels up in here after we've had a perfect impulse to the upside, breaking structure, coming back, retesting that structure resistance, now acting as support. You just want to see the continuation to the upside. I'd still like to see this at least come retest the highs, if not make a new high. XAGUSD from the monthly time frame, breaking above some monthly structure. We've had monthly support all in this area right in here. Keep in mind, it's not an exact point on the chart. It is an area, so all this area in here has acted as structure support. Over in here was structure resistance, and we've exploded to the upside, looking like we want to continue the trend of being bullish on the monthly time frame. Now, if we look at the weekly time frame, you can see we've came into this area of resistance right around in here. But before that, we did make an impulse to the upside, breaking some structure, came back for some weak retracements, but that did line up with the W formation that we had on this market as well. Move to the downside, move up, move back down, come back, retest the neckline in order to continue trend to the upside. It is a pattern that completes 80 to 90% of the time. Now, if we do look at the daily time frame, last time we spoke about this market, it was creeping into this area right in here. The only thing holding or stopping us from looking for possible moves to the upside on this market was this potential head and shoulders pattern that could see the market reject to the downside before exploding higher in prices. But in order for us to look for possible moves, we would need to see a break and close above this level right around in here. We did not get that, and the market has started to pull back a little bit. So still would like to see this market from there start to create moves to the upside, breaking and creating structure, and then giving a possible entry on a nice retest above this level. XBTUSD on the monthly time frame, on the monthly, breaking above some monthly resistance that should, if retested, act as support. So we could see more continuation on this market as we are starting to make moves to the upside. Now on this pair as well, XBTUSD platinum, we've had a move to the downside, move up, move back down, move back up, come back, retest the neckline as previous structure resistance that's now acting as support in order to see the continuation to the upside. We did get a move to the downside this week, but we're starting to close bullish as this weekly candle will close in about the next hour. So we also can look at the daily time frame. Now, we still have some levels in the market that we would need to see broken above before looking for possible buy opportunities for the trend continuation. But as you can see right in here, we did stay below the level that we needed to see the market break above. So until we get that, or at least start to see some structure created on this market, breaking and retesting, still continuing to the upside, it's just best to just sit on our hands, stay on the sidelines on this one. Now US oil from the monthly time frame, we spoke about it, it is making moves to the downside. We could see more continuation going into it in the next coming weeks and days. On this weekly time frame, we can see that we did break down below. We should expect there to be some either more continuation to the downside, and once that impulse is over with, we could possibly see the retracement back up in some of these levels to complete the M pattern that does complete 80 to 90% of the time on all time frames. So there is a possibility to look for still some good moves either after the retracement comes back into some of these levels, maybe retest right around in there. You could see the continuation to the downside present itself. But as we are right now in the daily time frame, it looks like we are starting the impulse to the downside. We would need to wait for that to complete before looking for possible entries. So still being patient on that as well. Now we can slide over to the Forex market and speak about Euro USD, which is still currently sitting right at previous structure support, now acting as resistance until broken above. So on the monthly time frame, we are still bearish until we break above this level, and then we will be breaking and creating newer highs. It's still possible that this market could see a move to the downside. Now we did get a retracement candle last week, and then we have what looks to be the start of the next impulse candle. If it closes the way it is over the next hour and 15 minutes, we could see possible continuation to the upside that could prompt the trigger of the monthly candle, also time frame as well, not just the candle but the time frame ended up turning bullish, where we could see more moves to the upside on this market. Now on the weekly, we have pushed to the upside, but we failed to break the high. So since we are sitting at what is resistance, until we get a clear break impulse above, it's best to just wait for the market to give us a direction in which way it wants to go. So until we start to see moves breaking above some of these highs, only until then could we start to look for the retracement in order to see the continuation to the upside. So just being patient on that as well as we go into the weekend. GBP/USD monthly time frame is starting to get very aggressive, pushing to the upside, still within the range of previous structure support that could act as resistance and should act as resistance in order to see the market continue in trend. Once again, this is the monthly candle. We still have 5 days before it closes. But if we look at the weekly candles, we can see that on the weekly time frame, we are starting to explode to the upside, where we're setting up nicely for an inverted head and shoulders pattern, where we could see more continuation to the upside after the retest of what would be previous structure support, now acting as support once again. If we drop down to the daily time frame, we can see we have exploded to the upside, creating an impulse. If we do get a retracement out of this at a logical place with high probabilities, after the impulse starts itself, we could look for possible moves to the upside. I will keep this one on the watch list. Now we can go over AUDUSD from the monthly time frame, still sitting at previous structure support, now turned resistance. We could see the move to the downside and this actual structure area hold, but if we drop down to the weekly time frame, we can see some of the same things. Of course, these pairs are correlated negatively and positively, so they'll either be showing the same things or opposite things, them being having the USD in the pair. So this weekly candle is started to push to the upside, but we're not breaking the highs. Until then, we cannot be looking for moves to the upside, as we are sitting at a very strong level of structure. But if we look at the daily time frame, you can see we've started to make moves to the upside. We actually got the break and close above what would be considered the left shoulder in this situation, head, and then you want to see the right shoulder over here, but we actually got the break and close above that level, but we're coming into previous structure resistance once again. Not high probabilities of buying in this area to see the market move to the upside. You don't want to buy at the highs as well as you don't want to sell into the lows. But if we do get a nice break above some of this level, we could look for the possible retracement for a trend continuation to the upside if the market wants to do that, or it would be nice to go ahead and see this market continue trend from a monthly time frame perspective, that being in previous structure support, having it act as resistance, and seeing the market fall to the downside. But either way, being patient is the best probability, best option on this pair. Now on the monthly time frame of USDCAD, we've exploded to the upside, in a very aggressive manner. We can't move in one direction forever. We need the retracement in order to continue the trend if the market wants to do that. But currently we are pushing to the downside, retesting previous structure resistance that should now act as support. We should expect some sort of bounce out of that area. Now, if we look at the weekly time frame, you can see the weekly is very, very strong, very aggressive move to the downside, but we did have the retracement back up to complete the M pattern that once again does complete 80 to 90% of the time. If I need to point it out, here's the move to the upside, move back down, move back up, move back down, and then we had the move back up right at the neckline to complete the pattern. So that happens 80 to 90% of the time across all time frames. If you would like to learn how to take advantage of those patterns and more like it to navigate throughout the markets on a daily basis with a successful rate, go ahead and check the link in the description. It is a link to my program where everything inside of it is revealed, along with the strategies and the rules that I do use to trade. So on this weekly time frame as well, after completing this M formation pattern, what we are in is an impulse to the downside, retracement, retesting previous structure. The next logical thing is for the market to continue trend, being it in the most common pattern in the market, which this is an impulse, a retracement, and the next impulse continuing the trend. If we do drop down to the daily time frame though, you can see that we are sitting right around previous structure resistance before we had the explosion to the upside. We came back down into that level. It is currently being used as support, but that does not mean the market cannot continue to the downside. We could just be consolidating right now due to the low volume in trading, holiday, end of the week as well. We had Thanksgiving yesterday. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, but it is time to get back to the charts. So from here, I would like to either see this market start to make moves to the downside, as we do have this level of what would be resistance right around in this area. If we want to pinpoint it, we could extend it back this way and looking for some of these levels right in here. So we could see more continuation to the downside on this market. Now we can go over to NZD USD from the monthly time frame, and on the monthly time frame we are exploding to the upside very aggressively. So we did have a level in the market right in this area that was acting as support, broke to the downside, immediately came back into the range. If we do get the close above this level within the next 5 days, we could see possible continuations to the upside, as we would have a left shoulder head and the right shoulder, which would put us in trend with the most common pattern in the market. So more bullishness is expected from the monthly time frame. On the weekly time frame, you can see we are exploding to the upside very aggressively. So we've almost covered all these candles to the downside with bullish candles to the upside. Now, with this move and coming into this area and this level, we do have about an hour until the weekly candle closes. If it closes as it is above some of these levels of structure, we could expect more continuation next week. But if it does start to retrace and come back into the zone a little bit, there may be a little bit of a retracement, as this has exploded to the upside very aggressively, and we know the market can't move in one direction forever. So just be wary about that. But on the weekly, we are still moving to the upside. Now on the daily, we've just completed what would be the most common pattern in the market, which is just simply an impulse to the upside, some sort of retracement, retesting some structure, and then continuing the trend. We would like to see another retest of some structure back down in this area before seeing an explosion to the upside. But after the retracement, there could be possibilities that the market does explode and continue the trend, making moves to the upside. Now we can go to USDCHF, USD Swiss franc, and on USD Swiss franc, we've had a very explosive move to the downside this month, retesting some of these lows down in here. So it's came back into previous structure support and has acted as support once again, getting rejected from this area. Even if it's just a bit, it is still holding as structure. Since we are so bearish with this very aggressive move encompassing the last 3 candles that we had to move to the upside, it's completely engulfed those. There may be more bearishness to come. If we do look at the weekly time frame though, you can see that we started the retracement with this weak retracement candle, and then we started to push back down, retesting previous structure support as support once again. So we are starting to see the rejection from that area. From here, it's really up to the market to do what it wants to do. We're kind of just trapped right in this area, consolidating, moving sideways. But if we do drop down to the weekly or the daily time frame, you can see we are starting to get rejected from that area in a little more detail, where there could be a possibility that we create a double bottom and move up. But after that, we would expect to move back down to complete the pattern for more continuations to the upside, or from there, it could provide the momentum that it needs to continue to the downside for more bearishness. But either way, this is a opportunity to go ahead and sit on your hands and practice patience as the market is trapped in between these two levels. Now we can go over USDJPY from the monthly time frame as well. Very bullish, breaking and creating structure on its way up, making higher highs and higher lows. But we have come into a point in the market where we are starting the retracement. Now this retracement has came all the way back down to retest the previous structure resistance that should act as support, but it is starting to be very aggressive and actually sitting in this level for quite some time now. But if we do look at the weekly time frame, you can see some of the same things we saw on USDCHF. We've had a very aggressive move to the downside, weak retracement, and it looks like we're going to start another move to the downside, but we're retesting that previous structure support, and it's starting to react a little bit. Now if we look at the daily time frame, you can see this in a little more detail. We've came back into previous structure lows, so we cannot be looking for sales as we're sitting right at support. It's not a high probability area to look for trades, as this could easily reject from these lows down in here and make moves to the upside, providing us more patterns to look for better opportunities. So this is another opportunity to be patient and just let the market develop and look for the best opportunities when they present themselves, not forcing trades. But that will be it for the Forex market. Now we can slide down to Bitcoin as well, which we also touch on. And if we look at it from the monthly time frame, you can see that very simply, keeping it simple and consistent. Previous structure resistance now acting as support over in this area. We have all this area that can act as support. Support is not one price on the chart, it is an actual area, and this is the area we have to work with on the monthly time frame on Bitcoin. But we are moving to the downside and we are bearish on the monthly time frame, so we could expect more bearishness. Now on the weekly, looks like we've started a retracement. We came into these lows down in here, failed to break lower, and now we're starting to make some sort of move to the upside, which could be the retracement needed in order to see more continuation to the downside, just following the trend. But if we do look at the daily time frame, we've been expecting more moves to the downside for quite some days now, maybe a week or two. But we're starting to get rejected from some of these levels. Now, if you're already in at some of these levels up in here, it's best to just go ahead and be risk-free. If the market taps you out, oh well. But the best thing to do is just hold your position, because right now the market could go either way, honestly. And there's a lot of pressure to the downside, so more movement to the downside is expected. It is probable, highly likely, but that does not mean that the market can't change and start making moves to the upside. But there's not going to be a halving event until 2024, which is the reasoning as to why we have this big run up on Bitcoin. We have the halving event, the first halving event right around this area. The next one isn't supposed to come till 2024, so we could see more just consolidation, the market not making too many crazy moves in one day until that time comes. And then that's when I am expecting the move for Bitcoin to explode to the upside, to at least come retest some of these previous highs, or at least make a new higher high. But simply put, on the daily time frame, just trapped in between structure. Really, you need a breakout to either side to look for a possible opportunity of the highest probability. So with that said, that will wrap up pretty much what we got here going on into this Friday. Everybody, hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. Still eating some leftover foods from Thanksgiving. But other than that, if there are no questions, nobody has any questions or anything, okay, I'm gonna slide up out of here. And that's that. So I hope everyone had a profitable week on and off the charts. And until next time.